Hello YouTube, it's Tony. So today I'll show you an updated and complete double XP weekend guide for 2020. Now I did this way back in 2017, but a lot has changed although the core strategy has mostly remained the same. What I'll cover are the basics of double XP weekend, the category on skills to train, other tips to optimize, how to prepare, the new account strategy, and finally the conclusion. If anyone wants a general maxing tips guide and a 1 to 99 playlist, then I do have one, which I will leave the link in the description. For the upcoming double XP weekend as of this video, it runs from February 21st to March 2nd, both starting and ending at 1200 game time respectively. So how does double XP weekend work, Tony? Well, it occurs 2 to 3 times per year, usually on fall or winter months. During this period, members will get double XP, free to play only 1.2 times XP, while Ironmen do not get boosted. It's usually announced within 1 month in advance, which will give you a lot of time to prepare. However, there have been recent changes. Prior to November 2019 double XP weekend, it would run for a total of 72 hours. Since November 2019 double XP weekend, this runs over the course of 10 days instead. However, as of this upcoming double XP weekend, you will only get 48 in-game hours per account. The timer only drains if your character is logged in and not in the lobby. There is no toggle button unfortunately as long as you're logged in, but hopefully in the future they might add one. Yeah, so this change is actually a good thing because it means that if you have real life responsibilities or you're tired, it makes it more flexible, plus you don't have to stay up all night just to do everything at once. Or as I used to say, book vacation days in advance. Unfortunately, not everything will get boosted on double XP weekend. These include any lamps, quest rewards, anything where bonus XP does not work such as the Ectofunctus, Book of Char, warbands, XP from teleporting urns, and of course the list goes on. Then we have Brawling Gloves and prayer related bonuses, Dungeoneering wildcards, Dwarven tools, the Scrimshaw Sacrifice, gathering player-owned farm animals, and there is a long list on the RS Wiki if any of you guys want to check this out. For Invention, however, it works in a slightly different way. Item XP from leveling Invention equipment is boosted by 1.5 times faster. The Invention XP you get is boosted by 1.5 times multiplier, which includes protein cogs, discovering blueprint, creating devices, etc. Now just so everyone's aware, disassembling and siphoning is not boosted by double XP weekend. Here is a list of common XP multipliers. If you want to optimize your double XP weekend gains, it's very important to use them. If you want a guide on how to get refer a friend, then I do have a video on this, which I'll leave that link in the description. Now as for pulse cores, you could just leech them for 10% more bonus XP by going to any place that has portables. Here is how the XP formula works. It is hard to explain, but the basics of this is that double XP does not multiply the entire equation by 2. Instead, what it does is it adds the base XP towards the formula. On screen right now, I have written down a couple of example calculations. The formulas are sometimes inaccurate, but this should be the approximate result. Now, let's get into the what are the best skills to train category. Do note that this is primarily for players who are going for multiple 99s, 120s, or even 200 mil skills. Here is a table of contents listed from priority, top to bottom. Starting off, we have the limited time bonuses and dailies, then second are the BUYABLE skills, third the high effort skills, fourth slow but low effort skills, and finally the other skills. For the limited time bonuses and dailies, although I mentioned a lot of D&Ds do not work with bonus XP, there are some that actually do work. Do note that not all examples are good depending on how much a person values their time. These notable examples include protein items from Treasure Hunter, farming runs, perfect plus potion blossoms and seeds, divine locations, making items from player-owned ports, dumping shadow cores, and of course the list goes on. The next priority are the BUYABLE skills. This is where we start talking about conventional methods where you spend most of your 48 hours. The biggest reason why BUYABLE skills are recommended is because not only do you save money and time, but they're usually not AFK enough to the point where you could easily multitask. Not to mention that it is pretty social because most of these skills could be done at a bank. The very first skill you want to train is summoning because the charms come in limited supply as well as being fairly expensive, and the shop method is very click intensive. As for portable deposit boxes, they're usually only found on double XP weekend. Now if you want a full guide on how to do the shop training method for summoning, then I do have one, which I'll leave that link in the description. You definitely want to wear Silverhawk boots at all times because this is a passive way to train agility, but it is otherwise expensive outside of double XP weekend. The third priority we have is herb lore, and the reason being is because thanks to 120 herb lore, this is really expensive nowadays. Yeah, it is gonna save you a lot of money, time, and effort. Then after that we have construction because this is very click intensive and somewhat expensive. Now for crafting, most of these supplies have a high upfront cost as well as being hard to sell finished products. Overall though, it's a very expensive skill to train in general, but the reason I rank this below construction is because it's not nearly click intensive compared to this. And then we also have smithing, and ever since the mining and smithing rework, smithing has gotten fast although it's somewhat expensive. And the last skill within this category we have is fletching, and thankfully it's cheaper nowadays because of rune arrows. The next category we have are the high effort skills. If you have no buyable skills left, then I highly recommend tackling this. Especially because we don't have to burn all 48 hours at once, taking breaks makes this so much easier. If you do these skills outside double XP weekend, you'll end up spending way more time doing this, so you might as well just save this for 1 week's worth of grind. I'll start off with Hunter, and that is a very click intensive skill unless you're doing protein traps or charming moths, and the Hunter nerf has quite frankly made it slower. Then for thieving, doing dwarf traders is really amazing because unlike safe cracking, you don't have to hand in the loot bag, which doesn't work on double XP weekend. Also, shock absorbers are extremely overpowered here. Although generally speaking, safe cracking at high levels outside double XP weekend doesn't require too much effort anyways. Then we have dungeoneering, and unless you do sinkholes daily, this is otherwise a click intensive and tedious skill. Getting 120 Slayer does require a bit of effort, so it's not nearly as bad of a choice as before. However, most tasks do give you profit, charms, and combat XP, which is then used for funding for double XP weekend, which is why it isn't a high priority. The final skill in this category we have is agility, and if you can't afford Silverhawks, then running agility courses can be a bit click intensive and slow at the same time. After you've done the high effort skills, now you can work on these slow skills just to save you some time. I highly don't recommend this because it usually doesn't cost you money or effort. For mining, unfortunately it has a low peak XP per hour, and unfortunately mining has gotten an AFK nerf. Then for woodcutting, it's another slow but AFK skill. For fishing, it's slow, but you could otherwise do Fish Frenzy if you want super fast but click intensive fishing XP. Now for runecrafting, you will only do Runespan. Unfortunately, Soul Altar and Bis runecrafting isn't heavily boosted, so that is why. The final option we have is Divination. I highly don't recommend this because daily Gothic scene caches are usually more than enough. I mean, my second level 99 on my efficient Iron Man was Divination, so doing your caches daily is extremely fast. And finally, if you have absolutely nothing else to train, then you want to train what are called the other skills. These are the least recommended because it's usually easy, fast, and cheap. Combat skills are the best among this category. However, most combats are really fast outside double XP weekend, some being AFK while others profiting and getting you charms. It's meant to be a preparation skill, which I will cover later on in this video. Cooking and firemaking, well, both of these are fairly low effort and fast. For prayer, most methods do not work on double XP weekend, giving you only Firewatch, which is crowded on double XP weekend, or cleansing crystals as the main good options. Only do prayer if you're going for Soul Split or Turmoil. How to prepare for double XP weekend? It's very important to prepare because, as I said before, you have 1 month in advance. The key is to make as much money as possible. Combat skills and Slayer fit the bill, no pun intended, because they're fast and they give good charms. Plan on what skill you want to train and stock up on the supplies accordingly. If you wanted cheaper supplies, you should have purchased them when Double XP Weekend wasn't announced, or when Double XP Weekend is almost over. I'm pretty sure they usually crash within the second half of Double XP Weekend. This is optional, but it's worth noting the next time you want to prepare. Also, I do suggest you organize one bank tab completely dedicated for Double XP Weekend. Other than that, just follow the previous information. But Tony, what if I didn't prepare for Double XP Weekend? Well, using the rest of your money, do the BUYABLE skills. I'm sure a lot of you have some spare cash that you don't mind spending. Some supplies do become cheaper later on during the week, usually like the last 4 days or something because the hype died down a little bit. So if you're lucky, you might be able to get supplies for cheaper than usual. Otherwise, just use up your limited time supplies and do the lower priority skills like high effort or even the slow low effort skills. See, it's better than just standing there doing nothing. Or maybe some people have close friends they could loan money off of, I don't know. Here are other tips for Double XP Weekend. First of all, you definitely want to take breaks when you're starting to feel the burnout, as like I said before, Double XP Weekend only accounts for in-game playtime anyways. Ideally, whenever you go on Runescape, make the most of your time because you never know if later on you'll have time to make use of the rest of this Double XP Weekend before it's over. Of course, I know people do have real life responsibilities and that's completely fine. While your timer is still running, try not to do PVM or quests. Now if you want to optimize your farm runs, you can just log in every few hours and spread it out instead of burning all 48 hours at once as quickly as possible. Last but not least, avoid laggy worlds like World 2, World 84, World 99, etc. There are some Citadel worlds like Efficiency Experts, and this is actually a really good place for skilling. Otherwise, Portable's FC spreadsheet tracks several locations live. To summarize most of this video, always prepare with a lot of money for skilling supplies plus summoning charms in order to blow it off. Don't forget to spend your limited time resources and then do the BUYABLE skills, and after that follow the priority list. Alongside this, throw in some farm runs and divine yew trees. Of course, as I said many times, don't be afraid to take breaks. The last section I'll get into is the new account strategy. Of course, not everyone is going for max cape, or some might not even bother going for 99 in any expensive skill. New accounts should focus primarily on leveling goals. Please, I highly recommend you become a member because leveling up is so much faster. I will try to do a separate video on new account goals to focus on, but here are a few examples I'll talk about. You can try getting combat levels in Slayer because it will unlock more money making methods, and I know I said before this is not a high priority, but for low level accounts this is going to benefit you even more. Or for those who are going for Priv, you might as well work on getting all skills to level 75. At the same time, try to do some BUYABLE skills or even burn up some limited time bonus resources if eventually you want to get these skills done. So this wraps up my complete Double XP Weekend guide for 2020. That being said, I wish everyone good luck on their Double XP Weekend gains. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, because I'll do more skilling guides like this in the future.